All righty, so we are live. How how are y'all doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Great.
Fantastic. We had a great conversation before we got started, everyone. So we're just gonna let I don't know, about a minute or so go by and let the millions of people that are tuning in check us out. So I'm really excited today to be able to speak with Charnise Carter, who is broker owner with Realty One Group, and then we have Monique Banks, ESQ. Everyone, so we're just gonna let I don't know, about a minute or so go by and let the millions of people that are Charnise, you gonna put that on mute? Check us out.
Sorry.
We'll just maybe turn your volume down on that piece. Little technical difficulty. She does a very good job, everyone, selling real estate, though. Awesome job. Can you hear me now, Charnise? She can't hear me.
No, Charnise, can you hear?
Charnise, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. So and then we have Monique Banks here. She's a title attorney, real estate attorney, I should say, and she's been doing this for a good while. And I'll let them both tell more about themselves as we go further. But when, as everyone knows, we've been doing these live streams every Thursday, and you can check us out every Thursday at 2:00. And the reason, at least that I've been doing this, is because I want to provide information to people and to just give access to our network, my network that I've always built in my entire professional career and just in life, and especially now, some of the things that we're going through with the pandemic and COVID. It's like that's all we've been talking about for the past 6, 7, 8 weeks now, and so it's just important, especially in real estate, because I'm back to real estate. Like I did teachers, I was talking about financial planning. We were talking about careers. And so I had to do real estate this week because I want people to still know that I do mortgages and that Fortis Mortgage helps in the real estate community. And so today we're bringing again Charnise Carter. She's the broker owner of Realty One Group located here in Maryland, as well as Monique Banks, ESQ, and she's a real estate attorney that does the title closings. And so today we're going to do more about finding out from them, from their perspective, what they've been going through this whole COVID experience. Also, from their lens, to give you an idea of what it's like, what's changed and such, what we've done to pivot to help homeowners, and then also want them to let as a homeowner what you should expect from the process. So real quick, we'll start with Charnise. Charnise, can you tell us, who you are and a little bit about yourself, and that'd be great.
Sure. Thank you, Shawn.
No problem.
As Shawn mentioned, I am the broker owner of Realty One Group Performance, located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I've been in real estate since 2003, licensed broker in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I love working with buyers and sellers. I'm very passionate about helping my buyers make their dream into a reality, and just trickling down into now a broker owner since July of 2019, and really helping my agents through the process and navigate through the process as well. I have to say this, Shawn, I tell you, when everything was shut down, I was like, wow, I get to work from home, but I am tired of just being in the house working from home. I miss just interacting with people. So it's definitely, it's different. We're all just learning how to pivot and adjust and adapt to our new environment. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to see you, though. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know.
Here we are. So how about you, Monique? Can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. My name is Monique Banks, and I am a title attorney with an office in Prince George's County, Maryland. And I've been doing this almost 20 years. So I started as a toddler. No, I've been doing this
like 2 years old.
Right. So I got into this business in 2002 and never looked back. and I enjoy working with first-time home buyers, doing their closings, and working with newer agents, trying to ease their nerves and let them know that, you know, real estate is it's fun. It's a great business. It always goes on, no matter what is going on in the world. The wheels keep turning.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. That was great. That was great. So yes, the wheels do keep turning. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when this first happened, the second or third week, where it was considered like a national emergency. The first thing I thought about, obviously, was health. I thought it would be something that would be really quick. Like, you know, there'll be some magic pill that would be found, and we would just all be okay like the next day, and we'd be going back to work and living our lives pretty normal. On the professional side, I thought, like, wow, how are, number one, the realtors going to be able to show houses, right? And then number two, we have to grab a signature to finalize these loans and these mortgages that we're doing. Like, so, okay, now how are we going to meet face to face or whatever it might be to be able to get a signature to complete these loans? And so what I want to ask is, so we'll start with you, Charnise, first, and, you know, we can all kind of chime in and help each other out. But like, what have you seen change, like, different in your world, Charnise, from, you know, from the time we started with the whole COVID situation to now? Like, what's changed?
So I think, you know, initially you found a lot of people that had uncertainty and that was scared. They didn't know what to expect with the market. They didn't know what was going to happen with the values of their homes. They didn't know if it was a good time to buy. Given the fact that interest rates were historically low and they still are very low, people were still nervous. And so I think the question was, you know, is it still a good time to buy? Is it still a good time to sell? Since real estate professionals are still considered essential, you know, how do we navigate through this process? How do we look at homes? You know, how do we allow for sellers? How do we allow buyers into our homes? You know, what are the protocols? How do we stay safe? And that's the most important thing in our current market right now, is making sure that everybody stays safe. And so it's really just pivoting and adjusting the way that we communicate. So you'll see a lot of agents that are still working with buyers and sellers, and a lot of meetings are being conducted over Zoom or FaceTime or over the phone, whatever is necessary to communicate, where you don't always have to interact with another individual. People have really made adjustments. So for buyers, we've been doing a lot of virtual tours. We've been doing virtual buyers presentations. Really, I've noticed, you know, one of the things that we do is we'll do a virtual tour online first. And if a buyer narrows it down, say, for instance, they have, you know, 10 properties that they really like that they want to see, we'll do a virtual tour online, and we'll narrow it down to maybe the top 3 or 5 properties that they really like, and then we'll actually physically go view those properties. And that's yeah. Sellers, it's you know, it's sellers, when you're touring a seller's house, it's very important to respect what the seller wants as far as how they want showings to be set up. So, you know, some sellers, I've experienced with some of my sellers, they don't mind in-person showings from buyers, but they want to make sure that you're wearing gloves, you're wearing masks, you know, you have hand sanitizer. They don't want anybody extra in the house except for the buyers, no extra family members, no children. And what they're doing is they're really spacing out the showings. They're not doing any overlapping for showing. So, you know, you might have a buyer that's going at 12 o'clock from 12 to 12:30, and then the next buyer can't go until after 12:30. So really implementing safety, you know, and doing a lot of virtual meetings, listing appointments, buyer virtual tours and buyer presentations virtually is what I've noticed and what we've been implementing.
Got it. No, that's good to hear. And then so Monique, like, in regards to the process, like I asked you before we started, so I'll just ask you this question instead of trying to piece together like 7 different ones. like, what's your most common question that you get asked right now?
Well, I get a number of questions from the real estate agents, the realtors, as well as, buyers and sellers, and some of the loan officers about how are we going to do this, especially in the beginning. Like, are we still able to continue on? And as Charnise mentioned, real estate is considered an essential service. So real estate closings are essential as articulated by Maryland's governor. He mentioned that as well. So we were, quick to do as much research as we could to find out what the next steps would be. So we consulted with our underwriters. We reached out to the county recording offices for, the counties that we work with most frequently to find out what their process was. Because while the governor said mobile notarization, was okay, we wanted to make sure that once we did that, would it be recordable? And that's important. We have to make sure that the transaction can get recorded. So we found from many of the county recorder's office that they were a little uncomfortable with the remote notarization, as well as some of the lenders. So we made a decision to do, to get creative with how we were going to do the closings. So that meant we were doing the window separated closings where we're all there together, but we're not as close as we normally would. So how that works is, it could be they're in their car, I'm in my car. We're required to be able to hear each other, but I also do it on Bluetooth as well so that, there's no misunderstanding about what is being said. So we have to be close enough where we can hear each other, but we do use Bluetooth as well, just to make sure everyone is comfortable in the process. For those who want to come into the office, we we do limit the number of people that come in. We have the hand sanitizer, the disinfectant wipes, masks, etc. Pens, you keep the pen, it comes straight out. It's yours to keep. And we try to, make sure that everyone is safe.
Understood. So I'm gonna stay with you real quick, Monique. So far, what's been do you have a story about the most unique experience that you've had with the closing during COVID?
I definitely have some stories. So in the beginning, we again tried to limit the number of people that were around. So I had everyone was out of school. So we had a husband and wife and their 3 children. So they didn't want to bring the children into the office. So one parent was outside with a child, then they kept switching back and forth, and it took quite a while. So after that experience, we moved on to definitely doing the window separated. So if we would have done that and we were all in the car, then it would have been a much quicker process. One of the other things that we do is try to send the documents in advance. So we can go over it by phone in advance. And then when we're there at settlement, it's a much quicker process.
Got it. All right. And then so Charnise, in regards to what was the other question? Oh, inventory. Have you seen that change much?
Oh my gosh, where is it?
Oh, it's not there, right? It's
Where is the inventory? I have to say. So, nationwide inventory is super low. And, we're even in a market where I'm seeing multiple offers by above list price. I was on a call the other day, and somebody shared some statistics that stated, I think 96% of the listings that are listed nationwide sell for at least list price or above. That's pretty huge. And
that's like all of them. I mean, every one of them pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's just, inventory is very low. So when inventory is low, that usually equates to a seller's market. But what's different about this market is rates are super low. So you still have buyers that are buying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are rates low?
You say that.
I don't know, Shawn, are they low? I don't know. Are they?
Yeah,
it's so funny you say that, because I thought that it was gonna really slow down, and it had. I mean, it hasn't slowed down at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movement for purchases and refinances now.
Yeah.
We haven't skipped a beat. So the one thing that I was thinking, so there was already low inventory, and there was times where, like, honestly, I would have borrowers, like 2 borrowers, like really, like it would be weird. Like I'd be writing a pre-approval letter for the same property. Right.
Wow.
And it would, it'd be like that. And but what I think I'm seeing too as well is there's still heightened competition, but a little bit less competition for people, right? But there's still multiple offers on everything. So just imagine if we were in a market where we didn't have the pandemic, it would be 2-3x in regards to the competition. So I think that's also driving people to go out as well, because they're like, well, now is my opportunity. Like I'm willing to I won't call it risk, but I'm willing to be cautious and careful to go out and view houses. And so maybe I might get something that someone else is not willing to go out to see. So I feel like that's also what's driving things as well, is just that whole mindset. But yeah, I'm reading, like, even homes are appreciating through this because of the supply and demand issue. But yeah, I was wondering what we were having going on with the inventory.
And so I would tell any buyer that's working with an agent, if you're not seeing anything that you like, maybe talk to your agent and see if they could reach out to some of the off-market properties, because it might be a homeowner that wants to sell, but they don't want to necessarily list their property on the market during the pandemic, and they don't want a lot of people in and out. But if you have a buyer that's interested in that house, they may be willing to sell. So
understood.
Yeah.
All right. So Monique, deeds, right? That's pretty big. Like, in order to finalize, you have to record the deed. How are you all working through that?
So the courthouse is shut down. They're not open to the public now. So that was something, when they said that, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? We had already been doing electronic recordings where possible. So it was, as you mentioned, pivoting. So we had to make sure that everything was in order so that we could record all of our deeds and deeds of trust electronically. And that's been working very well. I will say that if there is a very messy title and there's additional documents that need to be obtained from the courthouse, that it can take a little bit longer, but for the average transaction, it goes on as normal, thankfully.
Right. And how is it taking you all like a little bit longer to get title work back and such? I haven't really noticed that with you all, because everybody's working hard and getting it back to us. But has it created any issues with you, so to speak, in the time that it might take for you to get title work back, up front to the lender?
Right. I would say for the most part, no. Again, if it's relatively clean title, then we're able to get, our abstractor is able to get all of the documents online. If it's something from, many, many years ago, or if it's a lease pendants and there's a court case or documents that we need to look at, it may take a little bit longer to get those. But I would say 95% of the cases, it's going as usual.
Got it. All right. So I'm all over the place. It's fine. It's just a conversation. I was telling you all, like, before, it was like the 5 common things about this and the 3 most, important tips about that. So today is more of a conversation because, we talked about our story and just, humanizing the whole experience and just being ourselves. Right. And people want to connect with us. So I just really, like, when I thought about this today, I was like, all right, I could do a separate one with Charnise, and I could do a separate one with Monique. But it's just great to get you together, because I publicly want to acknowledge the fact that, like, honestly, you all, realtors, you always get a lot of credit for what you do, because you do a great job. The buyers and clients are coming to you because they want that thing, that house, right? And then so, oftentimes a lender comes into play because we're helping them get the money. And then, the title company is the one that
teamwork, Shawn. Teamwork.
So in this situation, now more than ever, I've seen where the team is the most important. Like if you don't have a team and you're not in sync and don't understand each other and like giving grace, like because there's times where we might mess up or might miss something, but to be in sync where we can overcome that and not point fingers and just really help the client in the end, that's what it's all about. So I say all that to say I want to congratulate the realtors, and especially I want to congratulate the title companies, because like I said, at the end of the day, if y'all weren't able to pivot and really be very creative in the way that we operated, it could have created a ton of panic in our industry, in the real estate community, and we could have been like sort of stagnant. And getting back to how we lived in 2008, I don't want to.
Yeah, no.
But like I feel like at this point, really a great guide to make a lot of people the heroes in this new story that we're having right now. And so I'm gonna shut up, but I just want to just say thank you to the realtors, and again, I especially more than ever want to say thank you to the title companies, just for making this all happen. Because just to hear the stories like Monique's talking about, of sitting in a room and you got a glass in between you, or you're sitting in your car and then you have parents like alternating having conversations, late nights, early mornings, also just trying to rack your brains to pivot, to figure out how to make this whole thing happen, because without that signature it means nothing, I think, right?
Absolutely.
The final signatures and the notarization, it doesn't mean anything. So I won't go any more about that, but I just want to thank you for that, and I want to go on record as saying that. I think the lenders, we're doing a good job too as well, but today it's not about us. It's really about hearing it from your experience. Charnise, what else? Is there something I missed? Like, what else could we add to this? Like that you've seen? Like, I know you. How long have you had your brokerage? Over a year now, I think, right?
So it'll actually be a year in July.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you have like 300 agents already?
Like 400.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I don't. I think today we have approximately, I think we have 30 agents.
30, that's great though, in less than a year.
30 mighty agents.
30, that's right. And we had 2 that have joined in the past week. So we're still recruiting even during the pandemic, virtually. So yeah.
So you as a leader, because this is about leadership too as well. That's what we've been doing. What are y'all focused on with communicating to your agents that are on your team?
So I'll tell you, Shawn, more than ever, we are doing so many trainings, and I have about 50% of my office that are participating. Every week we do, on Mondays, we do a town hall meeting. On Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, we do another training we call Pivot. And really it's every Tuesday and Thursday, it's a different topic that we're doing a training on, whether it's virtual listing presentations, virtual buyer presentations, so many different topics that we're discussing, how to adjust and how to make sure that our clients are comfortable in this market. And, the most important thing, and I'll tell you that I have been stressing to my agents, and they feel the same way, is it's not about whether you buy now or later, but it's your safety. And we're so focused on making sure that people are okay and reaching out to see if there's anything that they need, because we're all in this together. And then I just added another training, Monday through Friday, every single day from 12 to 1, we're doing another training as well. So I am just really making sure that my agents are engaged, that they're okay, that they have the fire to keep pushing forward, because a lot of agents have furloughed themselves in this market. And we need to make sure that we as agents, our community, our buyers, our sellers, our past clients, they depend on us to provide information about the market and updates. And whether it's good or bad, we just need to be honest. And that's the most important thing that you can do, is be totally honest. And at the end of the day, the people that you work with, that you have worked with, they'll appreciate that, is your honesty.
I agree totally what you're saying about honesty. I think that, in this business, we have to manage expectations and provide information because, like Charnise said, they are relying on us, to know what to do.
Absolutely.
And then, so your team, you guys are working remotely, right? Monique?
Yeah, so I go into the office each day, but I don't work in the office
Okay.
every single day, all day.
Okay.
So for closings, we're out and about. Our processors we have one processor that's working in the office, and then the rest of them are working remotely.
Okay.
And that's to make sure that, there are not too many people in the office at one time.
Right. How are they handling this change?
In the beginning, they were, as everyone were, the uncertainty was there. Everybody was stressed out, not knowing what to do, not knowing how long it was going to last. But I feel like, we've gotten our rhythm down now. So it's working well. One thing that I did not mention that we did talk about earlier is deposits. So one of the questions that I get a lot from buyers is, how am I going to get you the money? What are we going to do? For the closing, everyone is pretty used to wiring in their funds. And most times the bank will work with them to do that remotely if they already have a signature card on file. So that's not an issue. But the earnest money deposit, you're used to getting that check and handing it to your agent or walking it into the office. So what we've been doing, we have a Dropbox. So either if someone absolutely wants to do a check, they can put it in the Dropbox and then, we'll receive it and process it. If it's early, like right upon ratification, then they can mail it in, and we haven't had any issues with delays in receiving them. And then I would say most of the buyers are wiring in their deposits. So that is something that we've had to adjust a bit as well.
Okay, so you're saying most of the buyers are wiring the earnest money deposit?
Most of them are wiring their deposits in.
Yeah.
And there are a few that do the Dropbox.
Got it. I think that's the wiring piece is a great idea. I mean, I mentioned to you earlier, like the whole point of us like doing the social distancing and staying at home is so that we can slow the spread. And
Right.
so, there's an additional cost to it, but in many cases, it's actually worth it. So that, you don't have to, go out and not be social distancing. So I think that's great. So you are seeing a pickup in the wiring.
Yes,
Okay.
I am. And I mean, I definitely encourage it because, I want to make sure that the realtors that I work with are safe. So there's no need for them, the buyer, to give it to the realtor and then the realtor give it to me. That's just too many steps. It's not needed. And we want to make it a stressful process as easy as possible. And that's just one of the ways we do it.
Understood. What any parting words? So I always ask people, I'm putting you on the spot, but you got to do it. So Charnise, we'll get some parting words from you. Monique, the same. And even if you have any questions for me right now, I can answer any questions that you might have for me. If you'd like, we generally try to keep this at about 30 minutes. We can go a little bit longer, but do you all have any questions for me right now? Like on any changes or just anything you'd like to ask?
Absolutely. I want to ask this question to you, Shawn.
Yeah.
The number one question that everybody wants to know is it a good time to buy? And, and also, I know another question that I get from a lot of buyers, because I'd like everybody else to hear this, is, if you were furloughed, can you still buy? And that's another question.
All right. Good question. I'll start with the furlough one. So yes, you can. So you can't buy at the moment during the time frame that you're actually furloughed. But the minute you go back to work and we can prove that you're back to work full time and there's no, then you're eligible to purchase again. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, it's not like you can never buy. You just can't buy until you get back to work. So I hope that was simple enough answer, but you can definitely buy some of the other things that some lenders, it varies. We're mortgage brokers, so we work with dozens of lenders. Some of my other friends that, they just really just have the companies that they work for and they have those overlays with their companies. So for us, we have multiple lenders, and many of them have the same process, but others have other, variations of that. And so they're looking at employment really hard because, as over 6 weeks, like 30 million Americans file for unemployment. And so it's a big thing. That piece also caused a liquidity crunch where it affected our ability to offer interest rates and loan servicers to buy these loans and to be able to service them, which affected our interest rates really, because folks, the institutions are afraid that if they purchase these loans, right, that they're not necessarily going to perform well and they're not good and they're going to be stuck with loans that aren't good for them, and cause an even bigger issue for their company because it would just be a catastrophe for them if people don't pay those loans because they have to foot the bill first. So if I'm a servicer, for instance, and I buy this loan, I have to make the payments on it, no matter what. So if you're the consumer and I'm expecting a payment from you, $1,000 a month or whatever it might be, I have to make that payment, right, on that loan, and then I have to collect it from you. But if you're not working and my whole portfolio is not working and they're not paying me every single month, I have to pay that. I have to make that payment. So that's created a lot of chaos in our industry around offering rates. And so we've gotten some help lately on that. And so we're starting to see things loosen up a bit on that. But yes, employment, Charnise, is a big thing. So again, for the record, if you are furloughed, not right now, but yes, when you go back to work, you can pick right back up and get started again. Is now a good time to buy? I mean, since 2005, I've been saying, when you make your mind up, at the end of the day, it's always a good time. What I'm seeing now is everybody's trying to time this bottom, right? That's going to happen. We just got finished talking about the fact that there's a lot of less inventory and there's a ton of competition, right? So the only thing that's going to happen is when things kind of loosen up and we get back outside and we get back to some level of normalcy, it's just going to create even more competition for us, right? And then I would assume based on my knowledge and everything that I know, home prices are going to increase. We hope that the rates might go down, but there's no promise on that. So the one thing I talk to to people about is the cost of waiting, right? So if you can get in right now, interest rates, I don't want to quote it, but everybody knows that rates are in the threes, low threes, high threes, whatever it might be, rates are in the threes. Sometimes on a VA or a government loan, you potentially can get lower. So my disclaimer is right now, whoever's listening, regulators or whatever, I'm not quoting rates. But rates are lower. So 0.25% swing for you to wait might end up being the same sometime later. So if rates do go down, right, but your home value goes up, you're still right where you are today. It's still going to be the same payment is where you are today. So I personally think I've been doing this almost 16 years now. I've only seen rates this low once, this low. So back in around 2012 or so, historically low. 2016, we saw another low. And then just recently, we hit the historical low at the beginning of March. And we would have been going even further now if it weren't for COVID. That was the thing. I talked to everybody about it. So at the beginning of March, we did, as an industry, we did 3 months worth of production and volume and sales, 3 months worth in 3 days. That's how low the rates got. Then fast forward like a week or two later, national emergency, right? So now we have to take all that business that we did, and now we have to deploy all of our employees to go work from home. And the rates still kind of stayed low, like they were. So I kind of went on a tangent on that piece, but I'm trying to drive the point home is that it's not really worth stalling to wait if you're really serious about buying and you're able to purchase, because it comes into an affordability play at this point because home values are increasing, right? So home values are increasing. So great, you might hit the bottom on the interest rates, but you're going to be paying for a higher amount, which ends up making your payment about the same anyway. And that's what a lot of the borrowers and the customers that I work with, you're really conscious about your payment. Your payment. Number one, what can you afford? What makes you feel very comfortable, like in regards to a payment? Number two, what's that maximum amount that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll still do it? That's where I think most people should be focused on, as opposed to the rate. The rate's very important, and the rate will help you get to those two numbers that we just talked about. So yeah, absolutely. Right now is definitely a great time to buy. Like I said, haven't seen the rates this low before. So hopefully that answered your question. I know it was a softball because you wanted me to tell everybody to run out and go buy a house. but no, in all seriousness, it's definitely a great time to buy. And I will say the price ranges that are really good for rates right now is anyone that has a loan amount in the 510 range, a loan amount 500, 10,400 or lower, because that's considered a conforming loan amount. Those rates are really good. Remember earlier I talked about we were having an issue with like securitizing rates and such. Anybody above that amount, it's very risky right now for lenders to make loans on those. So the rates are a little bit higher for based on that risk. So what I'm finding though is anybody that's in that sweet spot of having a loan amount of about 510,000 or less, you're able to get in with the good rates. We also credit as well. Where the credit is tightening. So I'm finding that many lenders, 640 is kind of the number that they want you to be, 640 or greater, like on government loans, FHA, for instance. Before with FHA, we could go down to a credit score of about 580. It didn't always work, but that was kind of like the bottom, like the threshold for that number. Now I'm seeing that 580 level being pushed up as high as 640, right? And some lenders are even taking their credit score requirements up even higher. And then, so I would say, like, as some advice to you and any other realtors that are listening to this, just understand that, it's just temporary. As we always see, everybody's just trying to position themselves so that their companies can remain sustainable, because that's the most important part. Is we can't help any people, we can't help any of the buyers, and we can't help anyone if we're not in business. So it's not about things not being fair, or someone is trying to kind of go against the grain and treat someone unfairly. It's really just about sort of survival and just making sure that we're sustainable. So you got me on like a 7-minute soapbox.
I do appreciate you saying that, because I think, having gone through or lived through the 2008 era, that was not the case. So I appreciate the lenders being cautious and making sure that, these are good loans that they're doing. So it may be a little bit tighter, but things are still happening. And I do, I'm thankful that it's being done in this way, because that protects people in the long run.
Yeah, it helps. And that's the whole point is that we want sustainable home ownership. The last thing we want to do is help people get into situations that they can't handle.
Right. Absolutely.
That's it. Like, we want to make sure that people can have a sustainable home ownership. And so I think that's what's happening. That's what's been happening. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Monique. I'm glad that this is happening this way, so that we can continue to help as many people as we can. So any parting words? Well, not even any parting words, but Charnise, can you just shed some light and give us some parting words? And then Monique will be next.
Okay. Well, first of all, Shawn, I appreciate the opportunity to be on live with you and just to share my experiences with so many people who have questions about, if it's a good time to buy, if it's a good time to sell, how to navigate through this current market, how are we going to see houses? How am I going to allow people into my house if I'm putting it on the market? But the truth is, there's so many things that are in place now that we as agents, we had to adapt and change the way that we do business, just like so many people. And so, if you're considering putting your house on the market, there are protocols that you can put in place to make sure that you are safe. If it's something that you don't want to do, that's fine. That's important for us as agents to keep you abreast about the market and what's going on, and then for you to make that decision. And the same thing with buyers. I think it's important as a buyer to have a team that works together. If you were pre-approved 3 months ago and you're looking at houses, you need to stop and talk to your lender to make sure that you are still pre-approved, because so many things in the lending industry change day by day by day. So make sure, you're communicating with your agent, you're communicating with your lender, and you guys as a team have to be able to navigate together, understanding everything from how much money you need to put down to your closing cost, so that your agent knows how to best negotiate on your behalf, because we're in a very competitive market for buyers. So always asking for that 3% seller concession may not be possible for the property that you really, really like, that you want. So communicate. I think it's important for agents to communicate with their buyers and vice versa, to make sure that you have an understanding of what's going on to best position yourself in this current market. And same thing with sellers.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you, Charnise. Monique?
So I would say, despite being in unprecedented times, the focus now should be on relationships and health and safety. And that's something that we are focused on. I mean, obviously we want to keep working, but we have to do so in a thoughtful and considerate manner to make sure that, the people on our team are safe, as well as the consumer is safe. And I agree with Charnise about having a good team, because if we are working together, then we're able to be united in the information that we relay to buyers and sellers. And I think it's good for them to be equipped with that information, either before they start the process or very early on in the process, so that, they know what is expected and are able to get things in order to have a smooth transaction. So, and Shawn, I want to really appreciate you for this opportunity. I'm very shy. When I'm in close, I can talk, no problem. But in mediums like this, it makes me cringe. So I really appreciate the format that you set up, and I appreciate the opportunity. So
yeah. Oh, thank you. You both did well. I couldn't tell that you're shy, Monique.
I couldn't either, Monique.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. And as I said before, this is a shout out to our real estate industry community. I think everybody's doing a great job, and we appreciate the patience too from the clients. Like,
yes.
Everybody's being very understanding and patient. So my parting words today would be just basically like I always say, just stay safe. Do the very best you can to stay safe and healthy. If you need me for anything, reach out. Any relationship that I have, I'm willing to, introduce you. And then lastly, having a plan. This is what, it all boils down to, is just make sure you have a plan, and then we have to figure out how you're going to execute that plan. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great day. Hope this information was helpful, and we will see you next Thursday at 2:00. Thank you, Charnise and Monique.
Thank you, Shawn, for having me.
good to see you, Charnise.
Okay, good to see you, Monique.